Hey there, kids. So this is my first solo video talk. Um, I'm really doing these because I've been asked by my kids to do it quite a bit over the last while. Um, I've spent a lot of time, I think, over the years just sitting down and chatting with my kids and exploring different ideas and stuff. And um, and I've now put out a few videos, five of which were just sitting in the car talking with Kobe, one of my sons, on the way to school, and then one I put out yesterday while I'm going for a walk with my daughter Chloe. Uh, so we're going to make a few more, and some of these are really the whole point. And I'm really quite nervous about this actually because I'm not used to speaking on my own or to a camera, especially. But the whole point here is really just to talk, to explore different ideas, really as a memoir for my kids. I'd like to talk about some old stories and things like that, just memories, so that we have everything. So just as something really to give my kids, and I'm putting it on here just for, I guess, other people to listen to as well. Maybe there's something you might be able to find interesting. Sorry, I'm a little squinty today too, because it's kind of sunny out, but also at the same time very foggy. So it's foggy, so I can't put on sunglasses, and it's making everything a little bit bright here. So today, let's start with the first something. I don't know. Um, Probably won't be very good, but you got to start somewhere. And I think with anything, the more you do it, the more skillful you'll get. And that could be with a sport, that could be with an art, could be with music, but also when it comes down to speaking, being able to speak well, being able to put together your ideas into a coherent thought as well. Probably the first thing that I was thinking about of something to maybe talk about today was about entropy. Now, entropy, if you've learned about this yet in your high school physics class, entropy is about the amount of disorder in a system. And entropy or disorder increases with time. Now, if you put that into sort of real world applications, well, let's say your teeth. You got to brush your teeth every day, right? Because even if you get them clean, they're still going to become dirty again as the day goes on. In my work, I'm a chiropractor. People ask me very regularly, what are the things that they can be doing on their own to help? And so, typically speaking, my answer will, well, this is the short version, my answer will revolve around move all of your joints and therefore all of your muscles throughout an entire range of motion as often as possible. The more you move, the better for your overall health, mind, body, joints, muscles, everything. The more you move, the better. The less you move, the worse off you are. So that would be something that you should do regularly. Think about it this way as well. If you go for one run, that does not make you fit. But if you do it consistently, then you become fit. And then once you are fit, you have to keep exercising to maintain your fitness. You could say that's because we always adapt. We adapt to the stresses put upon us. And if we don't have stress, then you adapt to that as well, which is how you become unfit. Entropy would also be, let's say, the cup will always fall off the table and break, but you never will see all the pieces on the floor pick themselves back up together and make themselves into a cup again, sitting on top of the table. You have to change the oil in the car every once in a while. You have to do all kinds of things, and I'm sure you can think of many examples yourself of what you need to do to maintain something. If you, let's say you work, let's say when you're older and you have a job and you have certain things that you have to get done on a daily basis, and some of which, if you don't do these checks and balances regularly, if you don't do those, you're going to end up with crisis management. So again, another example that I see very often is somebody comes into my office and they say they hurt their back a month or two ago, and so they went to their medical doctor, they ended up getting an MRI, or they got an X-ray, they got some type of a picture to see what the problem is. And maybe they're told that they herniated their disc. Uh, and so then they end up coming in to see me, and they bring me the pictures, and I have a look at it, and I'll be like, well, yeah, yes, you have a herniated disc, but no, you did not do this, 2 months ago when you bent over and picked up the bottle of water and hurt your back, or you did that one movement where you picked something up off the floor, small bag, and then you hurt your back. That's not the issue. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And you can tell very often that a lot of times these problems started 10 years ago, or maybe they started 20 years ago. And the patient will say to me, well, no, they never had any back problems before. They've never had any pain. They've never had any dysfunction. And I'll say, well, yeah, that might be true, but there was a problem. There definitely was. And because bending over and picking up that bottle of water, that just was not enough to cause a disc injury. Not only that, you can tell by the amount of degeneration that actually the problem is 20 years old or 10 years old or whatever it is. So it was just that one thing that put you over the edge, and now you have symptoms. Now the joint's inflamed, and now you have pain. And we could pretty much say that that's really the same thing mentally and physically in so many different aspects of life, right? That things have a tendency to break down, and if you don't do anything to maintain, then at some point, well, you're going to have a crisis on your hand. So then we have to start thinking about, well, what are the things that you can do, that you should be doing every day to maintain your health? And we'll say health is a little bit all-encompassing now. That might be physical health, maintaining your fitness, maintaining the health of the joints, the muscles, but also maybe the health of your relationships, or your schoolwork. Things, do your homework every day rather than not doing it for a long time. So then you're forced into a position where you have to cram and try and study all night long for that test tomorrow. Whereas if you were doing a little bit of work every day, you'd actually have all that knowledge in you because you've been reviewing regularly. And so studying basically becomes a quick review for a test rather than cramming the night before. It could be, well, all kinds of things. Let's say also you've got, I'm thinking of the word called hysteresis at the moment. This would also be the somewhat related to entropy, but not really. Well, it's related. Hysteresis would be something like if you take a metal coat hanger and you bend it, and then if you bend it 50 times, on the 51st time, it breaks. Now, it would not have broken on that 51st time unless you first bent it 50 times. That means the stress that you put onto that metal coat hanger each time you bent it, it gradually weakened the structure to the point that it eventually broke. Right, so you can maybe see how this is a little bit related. Right, if you have, cupboards in your shelves within your cupboard, and you put the most amount of weight on it that you can, and you put all these cans and all this stuff in it, and it's constantly being stressed. It's like, well, in that moment, that's fine. The shelf can hold the weight, and it can maintain it for a period of time. But at some point, whether it's months down the road, whether it's a year down the road, eventually something breaks. The shelf breaks, the screw comes out a little bit, it starts peeling away the hole in the door where the screw was feeding into, and it's because it was constantly stressed too much, and until eventually it breaks. You can see how maybe that could be applied emotionally as well. You might say something to somebody, maybe you're constantly not being kind, and eventually they just break. right? They yell, they scream, they do something stupid, and it's like, well, is it their fault? Of course, it's their fault for not for they have to be accountable for what you have to be accountable for what you do. But at the same time, we have to remember that people can be put under various types of stresses all of the time. And those stresses sometimes can be a big stress, but oftentimes it's the accumulation of stresses that build up every day and month by month and year by year. And so, again, it comes down to what are the things that we're doing or not doing, and you should be, that you're doing to maintain your health, both in physical terms, emotional terms, mental terms, and what are the stressors that are bringing you down that you now have to learn how to manage these things. And I guess trying to slowly put everything together, you know, maybe let's talk about that in maybe a few different ways. Let's break down the word stress. Maybe we can say there's stresses that you can adapt to, and then there's stresses that you have to compensate for, or things that you can't adapt to, and therefore you find an alternative strategy to get around. So let's break stress into three different areas. Stress can be physical, emotional, and chemical. So, an example of physical stress. Well, you could go to the gym, right? You could exercise, you could go for a run, you could go for a row, you could go do anything that you enjoy doing that stresses your body physically. Now, so long as you don't stress it too much, then your body can adapt, right? You stress your body at the gym or going for a run, and then slowly over time you adapt by getting stronger and more fit. A car accident, though, that's a lot of stress at one moment. And because it's too much stress at one moment, your body can't adapt to that. And now we get some problems. Maybe you get whiplash and concussion and all kinds of different things. Now, we could also say there's good stresses and bad stresses. Again, a bad stress would be really something it's hard to adapt to. Sitting in a chair in a job all day. If you're just sitting there all day, then the muscles start to atrophy, and then they are not able to support your spine very well, and so then you can also end up with a back injury. Then again, a car accident. Let's say chemically. So chemically, that would be more like maybe for the most part your nutrition. Maybe there is a chemical that or nutrient that is good for you that you're not getting enough of. So that would be a problem. Or maybe there's something that's toxic to you that you get too much of. An example might be gluten. And then we could say also emotionally, what are the stresses that are helpful and what are the stressfuls that are hurtful? And we can sort of look at everything in those different ways as far as stress is concerned. Now, of course, I didn't think about this too well. I'm just talking and going on tangents here. So maybe we explore some of these ideas a little bit more over time. But I wanted to open you up to some of these ideas, that being aware of the things that are helpful and the things that are hurtful, and how that has an effect on us physically and mentally and emotionally over time. What are the things that we need to do to maintain ourselves in all of these aspects? And ideally, in promoting better health. And better health, again, also in all of those realms. Being healthy is not just not being sick. Being healthy is really being able to meet your optimal potential. But anyways, these are just a few ideas, a few little thoughts that, I don't know, that have just come to mind now. Probably I'll want to explore a whole bunch of different things with you guys. Along the way, of course, because the idea here is really to be talking to my kids, and anybody else can listen along the way, which means you'll probably get to know me and my kids a little bit more as time goes on. But anyways, you guys have a great day. if there's any questions or anything you want me to address, then I can only just give you my opinions and my ideas based on what I've learned from others. Um, Maybe we can all help each other a little bit more along the way. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Ciao.